Here on our Honda Learjet on runway 1, we're looking north. You can see we have a desired track of 54 degrees. You can see our track be slightly off to our right after we take off. If you look down, we need to change the CDI so that it reads GPS. It takes a couple of clicks, and now you can see GPS in the magenta color. We'll look over at our course and we'll align our course to be 54 degrees. We'll run that up or down, whichever is quickest. It looks like up will be quickest. Run that up to 54 degrees. And we'll also move over and set our heading likewise to 54 degrees. That'll save a little time if things get confusing so that we can get on the right course. Set those both at 54. We'll turn on the flight director. You'll see the pink colors come on in the instrument display. That is now on. We'll look over at our indicated airspeed. It's very easy for the Learjet to get out of control and into overspeed, so we will set that up at about 320, which will keep us out of trouble. 320 knots will be just under where it goes into overspeed. Our altitude, we are heading at an easterly direction. East is odd and west is even. Odd plus 500, so we'll set that at 5,500. Turn on the ALT and we'll look at the heading. We'll also turn the heading on so that we can easily get on course. We see the autopilot is not on. We look at our course, you can see the direction, and we'll verify what it shows in the displays. And we are almost good to go. You can see we'll make a right turn as soon as we get in the air to get as close to our desired track as possible. We'll crank up the engines, release the brakes, and we're rolling. We'll try to rotate at around 120 knots, 130 knots. This seems to be the correct rotate speed for most of these jets.
New York Center, Diamond November 30 Kilo Alpha Sierra with you. Diamond November 30 Kilo Alpha Sierra, New York Center, roger. Altimeter 3019.
I'll bring the gear up. We'll keep putting downward pressure because the aircraft will want to lift more at the same time, making a right turn. We'll try to get close to 54 degrees. And we turn on the indicated airspeed or the airspeed control so that it will capture at 320 and hold it there. You can see from the display we are making a turn off to the right.
Piper Diner Delta November. Contact Atlantic City. Approach on 124.6.
320.
124.6. Piper
We're coming
Diner
up
Delta
very
November.
close to being on track. We're going to have to make a slight correction to the right, and we'll do that by engaging the heading, change the heading slightly to the right. We verify that with our GPS. Or navigation might capture it. We're close enough to it, we'll see. And it does capture. We're making a slight right turn. That will cause us to intercept the outbound radial. And we're good to go. And now we've brought the altitude down to 1200. We're getting close to the airport. We brought our speed down to 250. We're going to bring that down to about 150 and then probably make one more change, which will bring us down to about 135. I want to think this out ahead so we can do these things before we get there. We're still on course. We're going to look over here and see what the procedures that are available. 60 miles out. We've done this a little bit early, but that's fine. Check the procedures. We're going to select the approach. If we look closely, there's a GPS in the center, GPS 36. That means we'll have to make a slight left turn, which will be fine. So we will activate the vectors to final. Our desired track goes away. You can now see that our first fix is CI BEV, it looks like. Aircraft makes a slight correction. Look off to the display to the right. You also see that we are missing the course line we saw before, which is fine. We'll bring the speed down to 135 knots. Try not to bunch up on all the procedures we need to do as we arrive at the airport. If you look off to the left, you can see that we are approaching some of the patterns around that airport. Also in magenta, you can see what the fix is, 17 miles from the fix. At that time, the autopilot will make a correction to the left and get us on course. This is not a controlled airport. We're not using ILS. And we'll start bringing the flaps down. We've got the gear down. We're very close to making a left turn. Still at 135 knots. It appears to be a contact approach because we can visually see everything. And now the autopilot is making a left correction. This will bring us on course. 135 knots, 1,200 feet. We'll have to visually find the airport. And you can see from the visuals on the GPS, we're intercepting a little bit to the left. We'll make another correction back to the right. We try to keep the speed at the appropriate speed, which is going to be about 135 knots. Visually, you want to see the airport first, then we'll put our flaps down, set up a little higher in the seat. We have the airport in sight. Flaps will slow our speed down. And from this point on, we will control our speed with a yoke only. It seems opposite, but we will control the speed with a yoke. We'll control the rate of descent with the throttle. We just turned off the autopilot. If we descend too fast, we add more throttle. If we descend too slow, we take off more throttle. Keep the airspeed up and we'll never stall. Looks like there's a cutout in the trees. Hit the control spacebar. That'll bring you back to the position that you would normally see. Add a little throttle, very little. Our speed is right on at 132, 33 knots. We're descending at about 600 feet a minute. As soon as we touch down, we'll get on the reverse thrust. We'll take the flaps up and apply the brakes. Taking the flaps up allows you to put more pressure and makes the brakes more efficient. Do all those things at once because this is a very short runway. Touch down at the threshold. Reverse thrust. A little slippery out there. Make a turn here about 3/4 of the runway. Head back and park. And we have landed. Go back and get a cup of coffee. Looks like there's nobody here to greet us.